Intro? Okay. No intro? Good morning, good morning. Happy 1st of March. This month we're going to be talking about basically starting over. Today and things that can get in your way. Today the title is Fruitfulness is Better Than Busyness. Our objective for this month is to highlight any possible actions or deeds that may take us far away from the life God has for us. Then, how to be able to recognize it and what we can do to rectify it before it takes root. A scripture is, I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit, for without me you can do nothing. John 15:5. When I thought about this topic, I was researching, and again, something in Joyce Meyer devotional popped up, and I wanted to read that, if you don't mind. Today, people are very busy, but that doesn't mean that they are busy doing what will bear good fruit for God, meaning to make a positive difference in the world and to bring honor to Him or to be productive in their life. God has not called us to be busy, but He has called us to be fruitful. John 15:4-5. Today's scripture says that if we abide in Him, we will bear much fruit. To abide means to live, dwell, and remain in. Meditating on God's word is part of the abiding lifestyle. We cannot have only a 1-hour visit with Jesus on Sunday morning during church service, not think about Him until the next Sunday, and expect to live a fruitful life. The abiding lifestyle means that we include Him in everything we do and acknowledge Him in all things. Do we talk to Him, think about Him, think about His word throughout each day? God's word rules. This means that when a decision needs to be made, we make the one that agrees with His word. There are two words that can never go together in the life of a Christian. No, Lord. If He is our Lord, then our answer must always be yes. I know that can be difficult sometimes and scary because you never know and you where He's going to take you, and you have to trust in Him, but sometimes you doubt yourself because you're looking at yourself in the flesh, and He's not. He knows everything about you. He knows everything that you're capable of. That's why we have to trust in Him when He decides or sets the life that He wants from us or the work that He wants from us. I'm guilty of it myself because I'm looking at me and I'm thinking, oh no, I can't. That's But then He has a way of doing things, and you find yourself doing just that thing that you said or thought that you could not do. And it's like, okay, God, you got a sense of humor, really. Back in the day, people were able to buy a home for their family, and one parent was able to stay home to care for the children. However, today, not only do both parents have to work, but pay extreme amounts of money for the basics. Child care, utilities, car loans, mortgages, and let's not forget the high cost of groceries. Needed to feed the average family, the cost of living is very high. People are working longer hours or taking a side job to try to get ahead, or take classes or seeking the higher education to try to level up in order to live a better and more fulfilling life. People are trying many ways to increase their income in order to meet the basic needs that was much easier in past generations. Matthew 6:33 says, seek the kingdom of God above all else and live righteously, and he will give you everything you need. So the question is, what does your schedule look like? Is your time filled with work plus a lot of extras, leaving little time for anything else? Even God chose one day out of the week to rest, and there's no one busier than him. I can say that in the past, I was very guilty of that. I did not have an 8-hour work. And I didn't, no, let me change that. I chose, I had an 8-hour or 8.5, but somehow I always seemed to end up doing 12 or more. There was a time where my schedule was so chaotic that not only I didn't know which day it was. When I woke up in the morning, I'm thinking, oh my God, okay, what day is today? Where do I go today? Is it school? Is it work? Is it church? You can't sustain yourself or a life like that. The chaos would take over. Because even when I started school to get another degree, I wasn't, sometimes you think you're superhuman. Like, oh, I could do this. I can handle this. And when I think back, my mind went, yeah, maybe I should have started leaving at 5 o'clock instead of 8, 9, or now things came up and you have to, adjust, but they didn't come up every day, especially when you have a job that is never finished. You're not going to finish it up at the end of the day, clean up your desk. I've had those jobs. Clean up your desk and, get ready to start a new day. That last one I had was when I put my pen down, I left it right there because I was going to have to pick up and start off where I left off the day before. And then to top it off, I was in a very busy choir and other functions within the church. So yeah, it was, and I can say that my relationship with God, I didn't go down on that. That was important to me, but everything else was falling like crazy. Matthew 11:28, then Jesus says, come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. How often do you assess your life, your schedule, take time to determine if you are stretched too thin? I understand how hectic life can be, the need to earn more, to want to accomplish more, to live more. Some people choose to keep up with the Joneses or social media posts. Like we said, housing does not cost the same as before, but increases constantly. Basically, everything costs more than even this time last year. The only thing that is not going up is the wages. Hence the need or desire to find ways to add more to their income. So, question. Good morning, Michael Wiley. How often do you take a personal assessment of your life? I've told about this so many times, but it bears repeating. Every fall, I would say, oh, I did not enjoy the summer. I didn't get out and smell the roses or do this or that. Next year, I promise I'm going to take some time and enjoy the summer. Because once fall hits, that's winter and that's cold and yeah. And the next spring comes, my mind is like, okay, we're going to do this. And then fall comes and I say the same thing over again. I didn't get a chance to get out and enjoy the weather, the things that you do in the summer, just getting out and enjoy life, take time. I did that so many times. So many times. And I wish I had been more cognizant and take an assessment and realize that that's not good for my mind, my body, or my soul. Because you do have to rest. God specifically stated that. You cannot, you're not a, what's that, ever ready bunny. You cannot go, 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 go. You're not built for that. Your body is fallible. Do you take an assessment of your spiritual life? Are you spending time with God? How's your personal relationship? Did you build a personal relationship with God? That's very important. Do you have work-life balance? I told you I did not. That's something that you need to think about. And that can help you determine how to build a better balance in your life. Do you regularly take time off your schedule for rest, as God stated? Because you know, how productive are you really when you are that busy? I've already spoken on how if I didn't multitask, things didn't get done. Because I'm on the phone, I'm typing, I'm driving in the field, and I'm eating lunch, doing 2, 3 things at the same time. And I thought about it when I was rereading this. In the summertime, when I was in the field, when I stopped and got some food, because first of all, you're not going to eat healthy food that you can eat driving. So I could have pulled over into a park and sat in the park and ate my lunch and enjoyed the weather, the scenery. But I didn't. I'm rushing here and rushing there. And most of the time, I didn't get home till after 8 o'clock at night. Not much lifetime left after that time. The Lord calls his people to do all things for his glory, even in times of extreme busyness. When we invite God into everything we do, we experience deep communion with him. Through him, we are able to find complete rest despite the ups and downs of our lives. Even though the Lord shows grace in these times, we must remember to focus on him always and nurture our relationship with him in order to know him better every day. People say, how do you develop a relationship with him? Well, how do you develop a relationship with anyone? Spend time, get to know them. You get to know him through his word. He is the word. Busyness often hinders spiritual growth by creating emotional distance, reducing prayer to a low priority, and causing anxiety. This God of busyness acts as a taskmaster, replacing divine rest with anxious toil. To overcome this, believers are encouraged to prioritize stillness, integrate worship into daily tasks, and consciously invite God into their schedules. Where in your schedule can you fit God? Think about it. Where can you fit God? I remember once a friend and I went to the lake, and we started talking about God because that's his hand. It's not a man-made lake. God did that. And sometimes I see the sky and the beauty and the colors and nature. That's all God. That's his hand. Take stock of the beauty of what's around you. That's nature. When spring comes, I keep trying to wait till I see the buds on the trees that's once dead in the winter. And when you see the little buds, before you know it, it's just popped, and it's just, the trees are just so full of leaves and life. When just recently it was barren. Even in the barren state is beauty. It's all beauty all around us. And that's his hand. Key perspectives on busyness versus faith. The trap of performance. Perpetual business can be a trap, confusing biblical God with a demanding worldly taskmaster. It can lead to dead works that keep people active but not spiritually effective. The invitation to rest. Despite a frantic pace, God offers rest, Matthew 11:28, and invites individuals to cease striving and know that I am God. You turn on social media and everything is saying, okay, you scroll and it's like every other one, like, I started doing this and I'm a millionaire now. You can do this too. I was working this job and then I started doing this with this app and I'm now a millionaire. You can do this too. And you scroll again, you get the same, it's wash, rinse, and repeat. It's so many ads. Do they say how demanding that is? How, okay, once you get there, that's great. You can slow down and enjoy your life. But it takes a toll. Going to school, getting another degree, getting an education, that takes a toll. And it's very time consuming. Biblical perspectives on work. While laziness is not encouraged, being overcommitted on the wrong things hinders spiritual life. The goal is to align work with God's purpose. Did you see God to find out your purpose? How to reconnect with God. Because when you are so busy doing everything, you're not cognizant of it. Well, I know I wasn't. I really did not realize the toll that it was taking on me until I had I still didn't, let me be honest. I had a woman come to me and say, I need your phone number. And I gave him like, okay. And she says, because I'm concerned about you and I just want to be able to contact you. So I gave her my number, and someone that I truly admired in the ministry came to me and says, whatever you're doing, stop it. Stop it. And I was baffled. Good morning, good morning. I was baffled because I didn't understand, because I didn't see me the way they saw me. I knew my schedule was jam-packed. And I asked someone years later what that was about. They said, you looked a hot mess. I didn't realize that when your schedule is that jam-packed, something is going to give. Your health, your strength, your relationships. Now, like I said, I made a point to keep my relationship with God, but everything else, even my relationship with myself, was just crazy. And we have to, good morning, we have to pay attention to all this. Evangelist, have you ever had a schedule so busy that everything just fell apart? You fell apart or didn't realize? How did that affect you? Yeah, we can, but they can't. Good morning, Jackie Hines. Because we're talking about busyness and being so busy that sometimes it can pull you away from your life with Christ. Good morning. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And never get around to it because you're pouring so much
Yeah.
out of yourself into other people that you tend to forget about yourself.
Yeah.
Or I don't like to not be busy, if that makes sense.
No, we talked about that.
I don't like to not be busy
Yes.
because that leaves a lot of idle time, and they say that leaves room for danger for me. So I don't like to have not be busy.
Not just you.
Yeah, right.
Generally.
So, generally,
Yes.
that you be unbusy, then you have all that empty space. Your mind get to wondering, things transpire that shouldn't, things. So I don't like to not be busy. I like to always have something going on, but it does make me busy. I never forget. I've never forgotten to take time and pray and give God glory. Even if I get in the car and I find myself so busy, as I'm driving, I'll make sure that I do that. But yeah, I do that all the time. I get so busy I forget about me.
That's common, and I'm guilty of that. And because sometimes you saw that you were important to yourself. I forgot about myself completely. And when your cup is empty, you have nothing left. And I've done that so many times and felt guilty when I have nothing else to give. And you have to, like I said, God told us to rest. If nobody's busier than him, so if he takes time to rest, and we are not in our glorified bodies, we in flesh, so we're quite fallible, and I am very guilty of that, giving and giving to the point where I forgot so much about myself. And then I realized one day, I'm not even on my own list. But then when you're so used to being busy, like I was, like you, when the accident came and I told a friend, I'm like, what do you do? I'm not up at 8, coming home at 10 and filling it with everything and doing everything. I'm like, what do people do? They said, well, you go shopping. I'm like, I'm not a shopper. I've gone shopping with friends that drove me absolutely crazy. They're looking at every little piece, like it's surgery. They looking at and I just left them. I'm like, I'm sorry. Go find a seat. But I'm like, what do people do? Because I was that person that filled up every space. But then you don't realize that when you're filling up so much space, thank God that you didn't forget God. Because I know someone, their work schedule is so crazy that I don't even know how to call them, when to call them. So I'll send a text and, hopefully, because sometimes they work 7 days a week, 8 days, 10 days straight. And when you work in 7, 8, 10 days or more, churches should be in one of those days. But they schedule so crazy that they don't go to church. And it's like once you get out of the habit of going to church and so many other things that filled up that space that you had going to church, you look up one day and find that you're far from God. Because even if you're going to church, that reignites your relationship through the worship service. Go ahead.
I think also that a trick of the enemy, I would say, is always something in your space or in your mind. Sometimes you'll find yourself, it's always something in your space in your mind. Or something always pops up on Sunday, or something pops up in the morning time, or you get this strange phone call. It's always something trying to block you from having that connection and making you forget. I don't know how you can forget, but you get overwhelmed and you can forget that, oh, I'm going to church Sunday. It's always something. Have you ever been in that place where you get busy and it's always something pops up, and in the space and the time that you know that you're supposed to be doing something, but something always pops up? I be like, he's, as Pastor say, he's very slick. And
Yes.
I've noticed that, because sometimes you'll be like, wait, I was supposed to be, like, I before I really started, and then on Tuesdays, I would find myself, it's always something to do. Or like I always got something going on, and I would never find myself at Bible study, and I had to turn everything off. And that means turn everything off. And I have to put that at the forefront of my
Yes.
mind, because no matter what I'm doing, because it's easy to let some come in, and then next thing you know, it'll be a pattern. You'll notice yourself like, I ain't been in a few weeks, or something like that. So for me, I have to turn it off.
You do?
At some point, you got to say, okay, enough is enough. I have to map out this time for me and God. This is
Yes.
our time. Because you'll get so consumed with doing everything else or stuff for other people, you'll forget about what's the forefront of your life.
Exactly.
And so that I have to map that out for me, because I was so, at one point I was like running, doing, and forgetting that I'm supposed to be doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's horrible when you forget to do what you're supposed to be doing for you.
Like you said, he's slick. And when I talk about this person, I says, when last time you been to church? And, because I said, actually, that's illegal. When you working 7-10 days straight with no breaks, you cannot work like that. And it was been a while since he been to church, and that can happen before you know it. It might just be one little drop, but if you throw a pebble into the water, it just keeps going. The ripple effect. And before you know it, you find yourself so far. But you got all these things. If you saw, I thought about it yesterday, because they would give us monthly planners. If you saw my monthly planner, that would terrify you, because it was like there was not an empty space. Because even on the weekends, sometimes if I'm doing paperwork at home, or there have been times that I would go to the office or go in the field, even on the weekends. And that's not healthy. That's not good for you as a person, and not just your physical person, but your spiritual life. Because when your schedule is so jam-packed, something's going to give. Something is going to give. Hopefully it's not your relationship with God. Hopefully it's not your physical well-being. Because Michael Wiley says, when his cup is empty, he can't give anything because he don't have anything. And he says the enemy seeks to separate you from the fellowship because he understands its strength in numbers. Yes, the Bible says when there's 2 or 3 in the midst. Mother, you look like you got something to say, because I'm seeing that smile on your face. Yes, I'm talking about you smiling.
Oh. Pastor told me smile, so I'm smiling.
Well, you've been smiling. No, that wasn't Pastor. You've been smiling for a long time. So,
She's so silly.
so what do you want to add to this? Nothing. How you enjoy retirement? That's what I've said. That's what I said. Because I retired and like, okay, now what? It's like, I'm not used to this. I'm that person like you were saying, Evangelist. I'm like busy bee, and my schedule, I'm like, okay, I get a planner, and it don't look like the planner that I had before. Like, okay, what do I do? Because I'm used to being so busy, but like I said, I was very grateful that my relationship with God didn't get in the way. That was, like you said, I'm in the field, I'm driving, it's just me and him. I'm in my office, just me and him. Wherever I am, it's just me and him. Especially when I'm coming home, if something late and I'm coming home at 1 o'clock in the morning, it's definitely me and him. But yeah, things can get in the way. But do you have anything to share?
Just as you were talking about retirement. I am at retirement age, but I haven't retired yet. Well, you know what? It depends. I think sometimes we don't make a plan
Yes.
because our government didn't expect us to live this long.
Right.
They didn't expect us to live this long. So I'm still working, but in my mind, I am going to retire because I'm not going to work for the man the rest of my life.
There was a woman at my office. She was in her 80s. And that broke my heart, because she couldn't even walk straight up. But my retirement came out of nowhere. It was like I had to. But there was no time to plan what came next because I'm in the process of, like I said, I had an accident. So I'm in the process of, building myself up because in my mind, I was going back to work. Because like I said, I didn't know what to do with myself, Evangelist.
So at the point of retirement, right? What I tell my mom is, you did what you had to do. So as we're coming along, we have to work, right? So we get in our field, we do what we got to do for all those years, right? Now do something you love. I told her, figure out what it is. Did you always want to read books to children? Did you want to hold babies at the hospital? Do what you like. What's something that'll give you enjoyment this part of your life? Don't, because you did what you had to do. She's a biochemist for 30-some years. You did that because you love that. Now do something that'll give you enjoyment. So at this stage in life, I think that we all should be doing something that we enjoy, something that makes you happy because what's left,
But you know what, Evangelist? When your schedule, and think about the time when you said your schedule was so full, did you think about things you wanted to do? Did you think, well, you were blessed. I didn't, because like I said earlier, there were moments when I didn't know what day it was. When I woke up and like, okay, what day? Because I had school on the weekends, I had school on Sundays. I'm like, what is today and where do I go today? And that was not in my forefront. I love to travel. I know I love to travel, but I wasn't thinking, because I wasn't expecting to retire. Like you said, you're thinking on it. It's a process. And when you think about when you're working towards retirement, that is a process. It's like, okay, well, what can I do? Like I told my mother when she retired, be selfish and have fun. Enjoy life. Enjoy. But and I thought about that, and I'm thinking, what do I like to do? That's what she said. What do you like to do? You done did this thing for all. I was so busy, yes. Exactly. You thought. Right. Right. Because it's not, for me, it's not shopping. God bless. Yeah.
Me too.
I would not go with you.
But I understand what you're saying. I think the greatest thing is to ask God, what should I be doing? That way we don't go into doing some things. Now, prior to social work, because that's what I'm in right now, I was sewing. I know how to sew. So I was doing that. I was good with that. That was my natural gift. I like shopping. I would dream in color. So I could see a color in my head and then go to the fabric store, and I knew this went with this and that went with that. Until I got to be in my 50s, and the Holy Spirit said, hey, I got something for you to do. And he pulled me into social work in my 50s. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay. So I went back to school and got my bachelor's in social work. And I found out that I needed that because there's something he did want me to do. And the first thing I had to do was to heal myself. So social work gave me free therapy because we got to be healed from trauma before I can help somebody else. He didn't tell me how long I had to be in it. In my current job, I knew it was working with children because I don't have no children and didn't want none. I didn't want any. I'm just saying, I didn't want any. So he let me have that and go, okay, then you go help that one, that one, that one, and that one. But that's not the end of my life. That's not the end of my story. So now that I'm moving towards retirement, the same God that said, okay, now you gonna go help them. Okay, God, what should I be doing? What should I be doing with whatever gift, whatever talent that he's given me? Okay, what should I be doing? Because one of the things I've done in my life is waste time by doing something I didn't want to do. Like for years, I was in banking. I didn't want to do that. Okay. So here was this, he'll progressively move you to what you want to do, but we need to be doing something. We can look at the world and find out, okay, I need to be doing something.
Right. Yes. It was, you do have to, you never know where he's going to send you. Because everybody knew I worked for DCFS. And prior to that, I was with the city. And I had a friend say she was going to go to DCFS. And I told her, no, don't do that. They scapegoat the workers. I had nothing nice to say about it. And one day I'm sitting there in training with DCFS. I'm sitting in the hotel room in my bed with a bed full of job applications, I kid you not. And after training, 3 o'clock, I'm sitting there filling out applications. And when I start working, they say, Kathy, good morning. They say, when you gonna fix up your cubicle? I says, this is an illusion. I am not here. And it's funny because I got my bachelor's in industrial organizational psychology. I did not want to work in mental health because I'm thinking, they don't need me. I am not what they need. And where do you think God put me? Mental health. Nobody wanted to hire me, and I just sat there like, okay, God, really? Really? But good morning, Evangelist. I enjoyed it. I learned, I grew so much. Mother?
You said you told this person not to go.
Yes, I did.
But suppose God told her to go, her or him to go.
That's
How would they figure out where they supposed to be if you tell them one thing and they hear it?
Well, she was kind of,
Wishy-washy.
yeah. She was she was thinking that way she go. And then it's so funny, I ended up on her team. We ended up on the same team. But we were the same church together. And because we heard stories how things happen to a kid and they blame the worker. And like when you sitting there as the worker, you telling them, this is my opinion, and I've stood in court and saying, this is X, Y, Z, because we're spending time with the family. We're spending, and we know these people very well, and we telling them what should not be, and they override us. And when this particular case, I think it happened when I was in training, a child died, but the worker says, don't let the kid go home. But they sent the child home, and the child died, and they wanted to blame the worker. They have a court reporter, read up those notes, who said what. But I've been in court, and they says when I went against something or express my opinion or my thoughts, and I'm going by my documentation, and what are your credentials? Who are you to say this? And I want to say, because I've been with them for more than a few minutes conversation that you have, I spent all this time with them, and I know what's what. But and it's so funny, like I went, like I said, I ended up in mental health and truly enjoyed it. And that, when I got to DCFS, that helped me, because it helped my mind frame. And it helped me with how working with at DCFS, and I had a coworker says that I taught him how to do that job better by watching me. And I was doing that because of my experience in mental health. But you never know. You never know where you end up when you just but being so busy, when your schedule is so crazy and chaotic, you can't live in chaos. You can't live in. Exactly. There's a moment, and then you step out. Like biblical perspectives on work. While laziness is not encouraged, being overcommitted on the wrong things hinders spiritual life. The goal is to align work with God's purpose. Prioritize stillness. Actively make space for quiet contemplation and prayer rather than trying to fit God into already packed schedules. Because it's like, you feel, like I told you, my planner was, oh my gosh, it was frightening. It was like, okay, where can I fit? But I thank God that I did not. If I forgot me, but I never forgot God. And I'm thankful for that. But I wish I'd have remembered me a few more times than I did, because, habit. If you forget something, something is left out, sometimes you can get so far and then realize, wait a minute, way back there. And if you're not, and even though I said, okay, I didn't forget God, but I have to be in the right frame. I have to be okay. Because what use am I to God if I'm broken down from overtaxed work? If you going, and if God needs you for something, are you able to do it? Are you able to function? Because you're stretched thin. You're so stretched thin. But like you say, you get used to being busy, and when you're not busy, you're like, okay, something's wrong. You're not used to it. It's like, okay, even when you're in the midst of it, if you have there were days when even working, you stop and like, okay, I need to catch my breath. And like I say, driving, I'm in communing with God. Looking at the beautiful lake. I used to love to drive down Lakeshore Drive to see the water. And I'm like, I need to be in the passenger seat so I can really enjoy it. But God is all around us. And thank God that you don't forget him. You didn't forget him, but forgetting yourself is just as bad. Because if he calls on you, like, hey, Denise, and you're in the midst of everything, or if I'm in the midst of my schedule being as crazy, because I had a conversation with we were in a meeting, and I was in the peace unit, this function at church, and she said, Kathy, did you do whatever? Like, what are you talking about? She said, we discussed that. I'm like, we discussed something? When, what? And she looked at me and she says, you know what? Don't worry about it. Because she realized I was stretched so thin that I was loose. And when the woman came to me and says, whatever you're doing, stop doing it. I was stretched so thin that I was losing myself. That's busyness. That's that busy work when you thinking you accomplishing something, but you're not. And in those moments, you can find yourself so busy that, like, you need to go to church. And I tell you, some of them Friday night services, I used to say I was like Fred Flintstone when he put the stick in his eye to keep the eyes open. That was me driving to church, because I'm like, how much did I have in the service? I'm so tired that I can't even keep my eyes open. You know, when you think about that, you physically, that's why he said rest. God said rest. Because if something is he have a need for you, how you can do it, how can you do it if you, but then when you so busy like that, the enemy is so slick, he can slip in there, and next thing you know, like you say, it's been weeks before you've been to Bible study, or weeks before you went to Sunday morning service, or weeks before you read your Bible, or weeks before you prayed, since you prayed. And then you think, wait a minute, and then when you see, because even though I was talking with God and praying with God, I was losing myself. I'm his vessel. You are God's vessel.
I think that can be easy, even when God tell you what you're doing. I'm reminded of the job that I'm in now. When I graduated in 2016, and so I'm like, okay, Lord, I know you called me into social work. Okay, what am I supposed to be doing? And going to school, I just knew it was going to be DCFS. That was what fueled me, was DCFS. And so I graduated in 2016. I didn't get the job that I'm in until 2019, and there's a lot of paperwork. And so, I'm trying. I wasn't no spring chicken. I was a fall hen. So I'm like, here's all this paperwork, and the kids are in different spots. And so I was comparing myself to my younger coworkers, because, here they on the internet, they can do this, they can do that,
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, wait, I got to get this part. Then we went into COVID.
Oh.
So here was a year later. Here we went into COVID. And so now I'm at home. And I'm like, and our prayer was in my car on my way to work. Oh, da, da, da. So now I'm at home, and I'm like, okay, what I'm doing? What am I supposed to be doing? Because, of course, everything was online and things like this. And so then God got a chance to say, okay, now, I want you to do this. I want you to do that. I had to get a weighted blanket, because here's all this stuff going on in my head. Did I do this paperwork? Did I transition this kid? Did I do this, do that? So now I got a weighted blanket, because I'm tossing and turning. And so when God he took that time and said to me, I have to take you through the wilderness to get Egypt out of you. Even though he called me into social work and things of this nature. And so that's when he began to work, to take, okay, you've been doing this. You can't do that. You can't go with me and do that. Even if, over here in the Western world, we got to work a job. You got to work a job. You got to have some kind of income, whether you married or single sometime. Especially if you're single, you got to work a job. And so that time, because we didn't go back to the office until like 2022. So those 2 years, he got a chance to work on me. So when I went back, I could do it fully as opposed to partially, because
Right.
he had to work some things out of me, even though he called me into that. And so sometimes we got to look at it like that. It's only for a season. We operate in seasons. So in this season, God going to have me doing this. In this season, he going to have me doing that. And so if I'm, as like I said, I'm going to be retiring. Okay, Lord, before I get there, because I'm thinking it was going to be this year. June. And he's like, no, not yet. Because there's something else that he wants me to do before I get to that retirement age. So we have to ask him, okay, God, what is it that you want me to do? I know you called me to this, and you having me doing this for a season, but what is going to happen in the next season? Should you spare my life and delay your coming? What's going to happen for me in this next season? There's some things I want to do and some things I need to do, but what is it that you want me to do?
Right. Because I thought about what you were just saying. I didn't realize, I was having a conversation with someone on the phone, and she says, oh, that is such a beautiful ministry that you're doing. And I realized, I realized God called me to that job. I accepted it. And, some people say, at one point, I had so many teenagers, and they said, well, you're good with teenagers. I said, that's all you're giving me. So I have to do my job. But people don't realize that's such a busy, I brought in someone to do my filing, and she was starting to chastise me, Kathy, because I kid you not, I think I had a stack about this high of papers, individual papers, not files. And she says, okay, how did you let it get like that? And I kid you not, the next 30 minutes, I'm doing like this. And I said, every last one of those calls is paperwork. She said, oh, okay, I see. And that was before we had a secretary. So when we finally got a secretary, that was good. But you, like you say, you never know when he calls you for something. And I admit it. It terrified me because I'm thinking, that is a big job. Yeah. And I had a coworker come to me and says, Kathy, this job is undoable. I'm like, when did you just figure that out? But I thought about it and like, okay, if I can affect, because my thought was I'm trying to impart whatever I can to these kids. And I've had some say, you're more like a mother than my mother, or I wanted them to not take ownership of the problem and see the beauty of who they are and prepare them for life. And I've had many fights, sort of, with supervisors, and I'm telling them, like, we are their family. They can't call mom and dad and asking, okay, I want to go to the prom. If I got a kid going ready to the prom, guess what? They're going to the prom. And they're going to go shopping to get what they need for the prom. But it can consume you. It can consume you. And I remember a friend had a car accident prior to mine. Hers wasn't as bad as mine, but it was still bad. And she was out, and we were talking, it was like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And she was so joyful, and she says, I'm mopping my floor. And she says, Kathy, I'm normal again. And I knew what that meant. She said, I can watch the news. And I can do this, and I can do that. And because when you watch the news and all you need to say is a DCFS kid, your heart just stopped like, oh, Lord, please. And your relationship with God really gets big. Please don't let it be mine. Please don't let it be one of mine. But when you're so busy, because that was a job that can consume you. You had a very busy job. These jobs can, and not just the job itself, but what's going on with the job. Being what you were doing, you take that home. I took mine home. And it stays with you because, like I say, I have to pick that up the next day. It wasn't the jobs I had before where I can just, okay, it's time to go. I can pack up and make my desk nice and clean and pretty for when I come into a clean desk. No. I had to leave it just as it was because when I come in tomorrow, it's going to be just as crazy, if not more. Because you can plan everything. What's it say? You tell God how you wanted things to be. You can plan. I can plan my day out. One phone call changes the whole thing. Everything is just swiped away. And you have to, in those moments, be cognizant. And I fail. I can admit I failed many times and forgot Kathy. I didn't forget God, but I forgot I'm the vessel that he uses. So if I'm no good, how can he use me? If I'm break myself doing my job or doing whatever, what good am I? Even if it's emotionally, that's an emotional job. And how good am I if I can't function because I'm emotionally broken because of the type of job I had? Or I've stretched myself so thin that I don't have the strength to even lift my head. Evangelist?
Good morning, everyone. So, from what I am gathering, from what I'm hearing, this is about you losing yourself,
Busyness and being away from,
and
pulling
being
away from God.
overwhelmed. And okay, so even up to today, I am in the process of separating myself from things that keep me so busy or preoccupied, whereas my focus can't be where it should be. You brought up the fact that of my job. We both had intense jobs. My job dealt with death and life every day, not like the hospital, because we sent ours to the hospital. They went. But when you're dealing with police, run and gun, and all of that daily, and in the summertime, that was dreadful because that's when most of the homicides and things had taken place. When it came to the elderly, they were abused. Children were abused by strangers and family members. So all these things were intense. And of course, when we dealt with those children, I passed them on to you.
Exactly.
So see, it was a hand-on thing. And then when I was dealing with my mother and her illness before she left me, I did both jobs at the same time, dealing with my mom and her dementia, having to provide, make sure that she was well taken care of, and then dealing with the job at the same time. So when mommy left me, I was like, okay, overwhelmed with grief now, because every call I got involving an elderly person, there's a woman walking down the street with one house shoe on, and she's got on a house gown. Can you send the police? So all of these things, it overwhelmed me. And so I mean, when you all were speaking, I'm like, ooh, I mean, what a ton. When my mind went back on the things I had to juggle and handle, and I did the best I could with everything that I had to deal with. But as soon as mommy left me, and when I was at that job and I'm dealing with this stuff, I said, I can't do it. I didn't have the time and the age, but I stepped back and I retired. I'm retired, and I'm dealing with some things now that I'm going to have to separate myself from, because I still find myself still feeling a little overwhelmed. And I don't deal with stress. I don't deal with stress because that was all intense stress. All of that. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. And you can't be any use to God
Exactly.
mentally,
Exactly.
physically, because your mental, it attached itself to your physical. If you're mentally drained, your body's like following suit.
Exactly. If you're mentally strained and physically strained.
Yeah.
Because if your schedule, like you said, Mrs. Denise, when your schedule is so busy, so crazy, it affects you physically, not just emotionally and mentally. It affects you completely. And let your mind be overwhelmed. That's your body. That is you. If your mind is so jam-packed and you can't even think straight, like I say, I will wake up, and I promise you, this is not even a joke. And I will wake up in the morning and I says, okay, what is today? Where am I going? Because I had classes on Sundays sometimes. And so I didn't know, am I going to church? Am I going to church school? Am I going to work? And I literally put my hands in my face in my hand like I am so confused. Now, if God needed me for something in that moment, what good was I? What good was I? And you can say, oh, yes, I worked 12-hour days and I was busy. I was there. I did this. I did that. What was the effect of it? What was the effect? Somebody told me, well, I had people say, you need to slow down, Kathy. Because if you don't sit down, God going to sit you down. Then I had the car accident. And that was it. So, yeah, it takes a toll on you. It's to start with God, modeling Jesus, begin the day with prayer, and seek divine guidance to avoid becoming consumed by worldly concerns. Have you ever felt like you're spinning your wheels? You're busy all the time, but not accomplishing anything. Like I said, I used to say this all the time, if I didn't multitask, nothing got done. Because with that job, you had to do 2, 3 things at the same time. Otherwise, nothing got done. So when it's getting to the time, sorry, Pastor. But when you find yourself in doing that, you have to take time. You have to stop. And like you said, you have to see God for everything. God, I know you wanted me in this job. And I wish I had been cognizant of it back then, help me to balance this. Because that's what we're talking about this month. One of the things, today was busyness. Things that can pull you away from God, and how to get it back before you find yourself so far from him that you will have to do your first works. But if your schedule is so jam-packed, because like I say, if I've been decluttering, getting rid of a lot of this stuff, and I looked at my schedule and I thought, oh my God, I ain't had time to breathe. Because stress, it was daily stress. And it didn't stop when I left work. Because when I left work, I carried everything with me. So there was no break. And when you build that relationship with God, all of that is in it. All of that is a part of it. So we're going to try to figure out how to do this better. When you know better, you do better. And like I say, I try to, now I can think, I wish I had a better work-life balance. But that's what we're going to be talking about this month. God bless you. 10 o'clock, we're getting close. See yourself to 71st and Stewart. Michael's not here.
354 West 71st Street.
There's always going to be somebody. The schedules, the street sign says 71st and Stewart. So if you want an amazing worship service and a good service, find yourself here at 10 o'clock. God bless you.